I'm Goldie Miller, the owner of The Perfect Fit. We sell plus size modest clothing, sizes from extra large to 6X. I started my business about a year ago, and we primarily sell online. And around the holidays, we do pop-ups around the tri-state area. So some of my favorite pieces from this season, this one is from Perfetto. It is absolutely gorgeous. It goes up to size 26. I think it's one of my favorites that I picked out this season. Obviously a bunch of others, but this is my number one. One of my favorite weekday dresses is this one. Growing up, I always wanted a leather dress and they never fit me. And I saw this and I was like, I need to have it. It is so cute. It's ribbed, fake leather, it's loose. It runs a little bit to the bigger size and it goes all the way up to 5X. The easiest way to shop is to go to our website, which is gettheperfectfit.com. One of the things that I want to do specifically on my website is to kind of write specifically how things run. If they run big, if they run small, if the sleeves are tight, if the bust is a little tighter, anything that could help you know how things fit. We also do private appointments in our showroom, which is in the city. You could call us up or email us, and we have that too.
Welcome back to She Means Business. I'm Zeilingold with FM Home Loans. I'm here interviewing Goldie Miller from The Perfect Fit. Welcome, Goldie.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let me just tell you how I met Goldie. Goldie has a really great store. She makes people feel really good in the store, and we'll let her talk all about it. I buy my clothes from Goldie, and I thought it'd be really good to hear how somebody really young starts something and makes it grow. So Goldie, tell us about your business, what you sell, and how you got into it.
Okay. So growing up, I had a hard time finding plus size clothing in the stores around me, in the general stores. And so one day I decided to go to all the Jewish companies that I knew of, kind of saw how their sizing run, how it fit, and kind of took all their plus sizes and put it all in one place to shop from everything. So you have tons of different options.
That is really, did that take you a long time?
It took me some time to kind of go to each company, see how it fit, how the sizing runs. Every single company has vast and varies different sizing charts. Nothing runs the same. So it takes a long time to go through everything and see how it fits.
You know, it's very interesting. Once a really long time ago, I was probably before your time. Do you remember the store Lohman's?
Yes.
Okay, so when I was like engaged, I'm talking about, I just realized I'm going to be married soon, 35 years.
Wow,
so we're talking about a long time ago, right? A long time ago. I went to Lohman's with my sister, and she found this skirt in, I think it was like a size 4 or a size 2. But she looked at it and says, it might fit me. And it fit her perfectly.
Wow.
She was nowhere. She was like more like, she was a larger size than that. So I don't know if that was missized or just that company sized things differently, and all their very little teeny people couldn't wear that skirt. So just very interesting about different sizes and different places. So that's really very interesting to me. Would you consider yourself a retail store?
Yes.
So you're the second person I'm interviewing who does retail. So it's just, the whole retail world is very interesting to me because it's foreign to what I do. And what I find interesting is how much research you had to put into it in order to figure out, to find your niche. And I know from coming to your store that the clothes you have is beautiful, that fits not only the teeniest of bodies, but makes you feel good with your clothes and doesn't make you feel like you're wearing tense. So when you choose your clothing, is it something that you choose what's out there already, or something you kind of design? Like, how does that all work to get your styles and all that?
So it depends. When I go to shows and I look through things, sometimes you could play around with how it fits. So with some dresses, if let's say they originally made it high-waisted, I can remove that waist and have it A-line instead, depending if I like that fabric. So sometimes people can't wear high-waisted. Some people like A-line. So I really like to have like a mix of everything. The one thing I like to tell my customers is that I want you to feel overwhelmed, because a lot of the time when you go into a Jewish store as regular size, you're overwhelmed because you have so many options. And so when customers come into my store and they say, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I've never had this feeling before. I've never had so many options to choose from. And I want to have options for everyone.
It's so funny because I love your store and I never want to feel overwhelmed. I like going to a store and there's only one thing my size, so I have to buy it.
So I would say most people don't feel that way. They want to have a lot of options. If they're shopping for weekdays, Shabbos, wedding, they want to have the options to choose from, and not every single style looks good on everyone.
That's
So you
true.
need to have many options in various colors because not every color works for everyone.
That's true. Oh, wow. So that's really very, very fascinating. How many shows do you go to? Is it time consuming?
So usually I go to about 2 shows, and then some people do private showings and they don't go to the actual shows. And usually it takes about a week to do all the shows and see everything.
And just another thing, how long in advance of the season do you have to pick the clothes?
Usually about 6 months.
So the clothes that's coming out in the fall, you pick in the winter.
Basically.
So you always know before anybody else what the trends are going to be.
Yes. And then by the time the clothing comes, I totally forget what I got. I try to take pictures, but it's just when you're in the mindset of fall, I'm already in the mindset of summer. So everything is just moving along, and then the things come and I'm just like, I can't even think about summer right now because I'm putting on a coat. But usually the fashion world is 2 years ahead. So everything is being made when you're not even thinking about it yet.
Wow. Okay, that's fabulous. Now, how long ago did you start your business?
About a year.
So you're 1 year in the business. So starting a business the first year, somebody told me this morning. They said in retail, you can't expect to make any money the first year. I'm not going to ask you to make money the first year. My question to you is, when you started, you had an idea, you had a vision, you started the research as far as where the manufacturers and the clothing, that happened prior to the year, correct?
Yes.
So you did all this research to get into the business, and now you're up and running. What was the first thing you did to get your name out there?
I would think the first thing I did was advertise. Obviously, I got my mother's friends involved and I sent my name out. And you.
No, I'm your mother's friend.
Yes, your mother's friend, my mother's friend. But it's still taking time. It takes a long time to get yourself out there, especially when you're in a small business. Most people say actually that it takes up to 3 years, generally depending on what you sell. I know that there's a huge need for plus size clothing, but it's just very hard to get those people in your store. A lot of the time they're self-conscious. A lot of the time they don't know that things will fit them, and they just don't feel like they want to go because they don't want to be disappointed.
Oh, you have sort of an interesting client base.
Yeah. So when people come into my store, I really try to not bond with them, but we're on the same level. I understand what they went through. They understand what I went through. We understand that we've all struggled to try to find clothing, and I try to be very mindful of that.
Okay. So what hurdles came up in this first year of business that you just didn't expect?
Taxes. I had no idea how to deal with quarterly sales tax. I didn't know it was a thing. They don't you don't need to know it if you're not going into the business side was the hardest part for me. The clothing side and picking out stuff, that was the fun part. But when it came to the serious business part, taxes, sales tax, end of the year sale taxes, that was something I really had to learn because you don't learn that growing up if you don't need to.
So did it come as a surprise to you, or was it?
Yes, it did. I mean, when I was learning about the business, I knew it was a thing, but you don't get taught how to do it. You have to do it yourself. No one can help you. I think going into it and not growing up, learning how to run a business, I think that was the hardest part.
So the business part of the business was hard for you?
Yeah.
The actual sales and the choosing of the clothing and
that was easy.
The creative part, that's easy for you.
I always was very creative growing up. So that was easy for me.
So how do you market your clothes? Where's your location?
So we're based online. And we do pop-ups around the tri-state area before the Yom Tovim. We do appointments in my showroom in the city. And we do phone calls, and that's how generally people
Right.
can
So
reach
when
me.
I've come shopping for you, I've shopped right where we are right now. We are in, I think it's your parents' house, right?
Yes.
Because you've done, and just in this room, you have the sale. You put the racks up, and people come, and you put us in different rooms in the house to change. And it's really great. And I'm sure you do this in other places too.
Yes, I do. Actually, a lot of people offer their houses for me to do pop-ups in. Strangers I've never met before, and some people just give me their house and leave. I've never met them before, and the Jewish community is so amazing that they're just willing to help. And
But it's also because there's a need.
yeah.
There's an absolute need. Okay. So do you have anyone who works for you? Anyone that you have to work with, any employees?
So I do have someone who helps me with pop-ups. generally. And she helps me set up, clean up, help customers. But that's just, I have someone part-time
Okay, that's
that helps me
great.
with that.
When you start a business, it becomes all-encompassing. Do you find it's hard to juggle like private life, now business life is all kind of meshed together? Or do you actually have you had to establish boundaries, or you're not there yet?
So I did have to establish boundaries. Some people call at crazy hours of the night. And at one hand, I want to answer them because I don't want to lose that customer. On the other hand, it's 11 o'clock at night. Do I push that boundary or do I not? So it's very hard. Generally, I do push the boundary because we're still new and I want to get that customer. I feel like as we grow, I'm probably going to have to firm that boundary. But as of right now, I try to answer whenever I can.
Okay, great. So do you have an office where you work? You work like from your dining room table. Like how does it all?
So I have a second bedroom in my apartment that's sort of like my showroom / office / guest room / multi-purpose room. And I kind of do everything in there.
Okay. The reason I wanted to interview you, Goldy, is because I'm looking for women who start businesses. I'm looking for women in business. I'm looking to talk to the population at large about how you start, the struggles, and sometimes the balancing of home, work, and all that. And what I really love, though, I love people who start fresh. And that's really what impressed me, and that's why I wanted to call you. And I saw that your services were so needed and your business was so needed. I know you're only a year in business, but so many things happen in fashion and in general, even in the year. Have you had to change or pivot in any way in the first year from what your ideal was and what ended up happening, what was real, I should say?
Yes. So when I started, a lot of Jewish companies don't make plus sizes, so there's not a lot to choose from. And some companies that do make aren't really true plus size, so I can't use them. So at first, I had more expensive items because that's what I was able to find. But as I learned, I realized that I needed to have more variety of prices because not everyone can afford a $300 dress. So I kind of had to do more research to try to find cheaper options that more people can afford. And that was a big struggle, to try to find that good quality things that won't pimple, won't shrink, that people can afford.
Right. That makes total sense. Affordable clothes that looks normal on people.
Yeah.
Now that you did start your business and you took that plunge, what would you advise someone else thinking about starting a business?
I would say do a lot of research. Research is key. I didn't do as much as I should have because I was just so excited and I wanted to jump into it. You really have to do a lot of research. Even when you're in the business, you should always be learning, always trying to grow, learning new things. Take constructive criticism and put it towards your business, because if you don't take that, you're never going to be able to grow. People's opinions are very important on how to help and shape your business. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean that your business is not good, but those opinions will show you what people need and what people want. When someone tells you, look, I love this kind of style, this works for me, and you never knew that may work because your body shape is different, take that and try to find different styles that will work for more people.
Did you have a role model in starting a business?
So I had a role model of trying to start a plus size business, not generally like a business in general. There's an influencer called Remy Bader online. And she was a big inspiration to me. She was the first person that actually convinced Revolve, Victoria's Secret to make actual plus sizes that fit sizes 1X to 4X. She called out a lot of non-Jewish brands like Chanel, Dolce & Gabbana, companies that refuse to make plus sizes. They are companies that actually can afford to make plus sizes. A lot of times small businesses don't have the money to, but companies that are so big and choose to not make plus sizes really disappointed her. When she went to fashion shows and they were showing new things on the runway, they brought out plus size models just for the show. They don't actually sell it because they wanted to be inclusive. And she was so upset because how can you say you sell plus size, but you actually really don't? And that was one of the things that really inspired me, that she called out these companies and said, why can't you make this? Why can't you just be inclusive to everyone? Why can't everyone wear your things? And that was a big inspiration to me.
Are there many stores like yours?
Not a lot, but there are some.
It's interesting to me that you're actually choosing your styles like 6 or 7 months before. How do you envision the growth of your company or the future? Like if it goes exactly according to how you would plan it, where do you see the future taking you?
Well, I would like to open up a permanent store. But my dream would to move to children's plus size clothing. No one makes that. It's a huge need. Growing up, I know that it was a huge need, and there are still companies. I don't know anyone that makes it. I don't know anyone that really makes maternity plus size. There are so many things missing in the industry that I would love to do, but it takes time.
Yeah, but those people don't walk around naked. What do they wear?
They just wear. So a lot of the time you have to make custom clothing, especially for little kids. If they need a suit, a lot of the time they have to customize it and pay a lot of money to make it fit their kid. A lot of the time the clothing doesn't fit right because it's not really meant for them. A lot of the time plus size women who are maternity just go up a size, and not always does it fit them right.
It's so interesting that you say that. You're talking about plus sizes. Some of my family is really tall. And one of my nieces is pretty tall. And my sister always bought 2 dresses for her and always went to the seamstress to turn the 2 dresses into one. Always.
So that also, they don't really make plus size petite clothing. They don't make plus size tall clothing. There's a lot of things missing in the industry that still hasn't been made yet. I know someone in Teaneck who just on the side business, not even to make money, she creates plus size kid suits just to help people. Because she's heard that there was a need. Like, that's not even her main job. She just did it as a mitzvah.
So basically, you're seeing yourself going forward, hopefully growing beyond ladies' clothing to children's clothing. But you said suits, to boys' clothing too?
Yes.
Wow. I think there is a need for it actually out there because you have to feel good with what you wear. And especially today when you're going to a totally different industry, but the social work industry, the psychological industry is blowing up. People don't feel good with themselves. And how you look and how you feel in your clothes makes a very, very big difference in how you behave outside and how you interact with other people.
It's true. Self-confidence is a huge deal. When you feel good about yourself, you feel good about others. You feel good about going out. When you don't feel good about yourself and you don't feel pretty, it's very hard to go and just be in everyday life.
It's true. Now, as now that you're an entrepreneurial woman, are you the first entrepreneur in your family?
No. My mother has a shaitel business.
Okay.
So I'll be the second.
Okay, excellent. As an entrepreneurial woman, what do you find the most enjoyable about your business and your day-to-day, just like reflecting the past year? What do you find very enjoyable? What are some of your triumphs for the year? And what would you do differently if you're starting over today with the knowledge that you have from the first year in business?
So I think the first thing is that when someone comes into my store and finds a dress or an outfit and they look in the mirror and I see their smile and I see their whole face just lighten up and I know that self-confidence just boosts in them, it makes me so happy. And when people leave and they keep telling me about how much they feel pretty and how much they love it, it makes the whole thing worth it. And that's why I did it in the beginning. I want people to feel beautiful. I want people to feel confident. I want people to know that there are options for them and they don't have to wear things that look like tents because they have no other option. It is there. I would say that with the varies of prices of things, I think that I would have came out with a bigger range of prices when I first started.
Mm-hmm. It was so great meeting you, Goldie. I want to wish you a ton of success.
Thank you.
I just want to tell you something, that there's all different forms of success. So I wish you monetary success, of course, but you should continue to have some satisfaction in what you're doing. I do know you're filling a very, very big need, and I'm glad that you do have the store, and I hope that you always feel that extreme satisfaction from what you do and you just keep on growing and being an inspiration for others.
I mean, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, no problem.